Love, fresh off scoring 21 touchdowns this season, breaking the Notre Dame single-season record held by Jerome Bettis since 1991. Tim Hasselbeck, how do you see Love making an impact at the next level?
I think the big thing is running backs, especially if you're an elite running back, which Love projects to be, just the impact you can have on a team in your rookie season. You think about Christian McCaffrey, nearly 200 touches his rookie year. Bijan Robinson, about 270 touches his rookie year. Saquon Barkley, well over 300, his rookie year. And so I think that's the intrigue at a position that seems to be devalued a little bit. The elite of the elite can have immediate impact, and that's a big deal for anybody that wants to draft him inside the top 10.
And Field has Love going to the Commanders at 7 overall.
Nah.
Yeah, it is something to think about. And this is interesting. I love how Ty Simpson has now leapfrogged Mendoza in terms of who to talk about right now. It's pretty interesting to me. We take a look at Joel Klatt's board real fast, and I want to look at the whole draft order here. The odds of him go right like I don't, though the Jets aren't going to take up number 2. Could the Cardinals do it? Could they be like, we want him to be our quarterback of our future? It's like, possibly, I guess, maybe. Not the Titans, not the Giants. Could the Cleveland Brown, right? Like, could a team be like, no, we believe in him and we want him and that's what we're doing? It's like, again, technically speaking, not the Commanders, not the Saints, not the Chiefs. If the Chiefs do it, then they're like, wow, Patrick Mahomes is really on his way out. Not the Bengals. The Dolphins, that would make zero sense whatsoever. The Cowboys no. The Rams no. The Ravens no. Again, if the Ravens do it, then oh my gosh, what's happening? The Bucs. The Bucs is definitely an interesting move. I don't know, but it seems like they want Baker long term, so it's not going to happen. And then that's obviously then, therein lies the Jets. Now, it's not going to be the Lions, probably not going to be the Vikings. Again, you could make the argument, well, hey, what about the Vikings? Like, probably not them, not the Panthers, obviously. Again, not the Cowboys, the Steelers. That ends up now being interesting. Chargers, no. Eagles, no. Browns, it's like Bears, no. Bills, no. 49ers, no. Texans, probably not. But, some of these things you just never know. And so then if you do need to trade back up, which Colin I think is correct in terms of looking at that Bucs pick, is it a team like this? Are you trading from the first round? Up, or are you, kind of doing what the Giants were able to do? How they kept they didn't move up because they already drafted what was his 2nd overall or 3rd overall, I forget, last year. Then they traded back into the first round. And then, same thing with the Atlanta Falcons, though. Obviously, not for a quarterback, but for a defensive end, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was defensive end. So it'll be interesting to see. You'll see how aggressive a team feels they need to be. Or what kind of deal in a weird enough way, it was a little bit more straightforward for the Giants, I suppose. And honestly, what they were able to kind of give up to get what they needed, I think, was pretty good. What's interesting about that is if you look at this as being the magic spot where he could be scooped up with the Bucs, not obvious, that pick that, at the 15 spot, because you would say, hey, the Giants, you're in a position to have their cake and eat it too, get a big player top of the draft and, seemingly no one else is going to be drafting anyone. But I don't know, maybe the Rams, but again, I don't think the Rams would do that in this moment of time because they're going for broke right now. They can get him like in the 2nd round or 3rd round. Sure. But, seems like he'll be going before then. But when you look at again, if you need to trade up, who are you going up against here? Not many. I don't know how much of a leveraged bidding war there will be for the Bucks. So then I just wonder, if you're a team like the Steelers, can you keep your 21st pick? Trade something similar to what the Giants did, where it was like a second, a third, and a fifth or something. Probably not, but I don't know, because again, I don't know where all that leverage is. But if not, you could potentially, would you forego your first round pick of next season, which is essentially what the Atlanta Falcons found themselves in that situation, which is why the Rams have that 13th pick in the first place. I wonder if the Bucks would be willing for a move like that, because the Bucks are trying to make their run. I mean, I don't think they have a run to be made necessarily, but they want a first round pick. So, that's why it feels like the Steelers probably wouldn't be able to find themselves in a situation where they could essentially have 2 first round picks right now. That seems a little bit harder to do. Because I'm not so sure the Bucks will be able to be willing to do that in a way that the Rams were like, we're happy kind of switching this around and getting the value that we can. And again, it clearly worked out well for them. So, this area is going to be really interesting. Really interesting. And I could see the offer, or just again the teams that want to make that want to be aggressive in that regard, that want to make a move. I don't know if it's there. And so then it really comes down to then if the Jets just want to select him at 16. And what makes it even more interesting is I don't know how much of a trickle down that is. If Ty Simpson got drafted with the Jets number 2 overall or something like that, ends up having like massive trickle down consequences for the rest of the draft, in a way that if you draft Ty Simpson at 16, not as much. And if they decide to not get him, the Jets have the first pick in the second round. So again, this is where it's so hard. I don't know how these guys do it, because the Jets could theoretically not draft him there. Again, these guys are most likely not going to draft him. It's hard. It's hard for me to see. Again, you could make the argument the Steelers get him at 21. That's the biggest risk right there, because we just went on a whole thing like how the Steelers would maybe trade up, but like maybe not. Maybe you get a sense of what their plan is with Aaron Rodgers. Like, don't know. But it's like if you survive that, then you're just waiting to see if anyone from in the second round wants to trade up with, I guess you'd be looking at, technically 21 and down. Would probably be, which then again, who would it be? Would the Rams feel the need to do it? Like, I don't know how many other teams, maybe the Cardinal, like I don't know at that point what other teams are going to be looking to be that aggressive. And so my mind's kind of like, if you're the Jets, can you draft number 2 and number 16, not draft him and then use your other rounds, your other draft picks to get back into the first round? I mean, I could see a team like the Bears being more than willing to get some extra picks, trade down from the 25th to the 33rd or something, right? Like, it's almost like if you can just survive the Steelers at 21, you'd be in a position to trade with some of these lower teams and maybe even feel comfortable enough where you don't even have to do that. That you could just be like, actually, we don't even have to do that. We could just sit at the second round, we could just sit in the second round because those guys aren't going to draft anyone. So, like, I don't know. Like this is the stuff that makes the draft so hard to really predict, because all one just the tiniest little move. It's the definition of domino effect, the butterfly effect, snowball, whatever object you want to use. And we can talk about things that you like, oh, this will never happen. And yet, like, every single year we consistently see, like, I didn't see the Atlanta Falcons making the trade that they made. I didn't see the Rams making the trade that they made. I didn't see the Giants trading back and getting Jackson D. I mean, they blew everyone away, right? The Cleveland Browns trade last year with, what the heck is the team? The Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, there's plenty of moves where you're just like, I did not see that coming. And in a weird enough way, when it's not this clearly defined quarterback draft, like even Michael Penix going to the Atlanta Falcons, like that was pretty disruptive. Those things have some pretty big trickle-down effects. And you do have enough teams, and that's what's always kind of interesting to me, because we're always like, oh, it's such a quarterback-heavy draft next year or everybody wants next. And it's just like, well, the Raiders aren't going to be looking for a quarterback. The Giants, the Titans, the Command. I mean, like, you find yourself in the situation where, yeah, it starts to get interesting if teams are kind of like, well, Jaden Daniels is injured again. Jackson Dart is injured again. Cam Ward is not developing how we thought he was going to, right? Joe Burrow got injured again. You're kind of like, alright, are some of these other teams gonna start to draft a quarterback that you're like, whoa, the Bengals have the top 8 pick and they have a chance to draft their quarterback of the future. Joe Burrow's now been injured 4 of the last 5, right? Like, and it's just hard to those things are really hard to predict. Like really hard to predict. So, it's just 1 minute it feels like there's kind of solid ground. On the next minute you're kind of like, so what team could be aggressive for Ty Simpson? Do you need to be aggressive? Because like that's the fascinating thing. If no one's as interested in Ty Simpson as much as the media is, there is a slight feeling of like, well, the Jets can get him at 16, or it feels like the Jets can get him at 33, right? Or like, or I don't know. It's just, yeah, I am fascinated to see how this will officially kind of unfold here, but I mean, if I'm the Jets, I'm kind of a bit of a go for broke kind of guy when you're a team like the Jets. And I'm kind of like, how do you find a way to get 3 picks in the first round if you want to do it and take that shot there? That's where I would actually feel better about that than just Joel Klatt's mock draft there just the way is written. And 'cause again, Colin points out that 15th pick could be the Steelers. And if the Steelers do that, then you're done. But I wonder. It's really interesting because then if the Steelers want to do that when apparently they're kind of high on Will Howard, but like they move up, get Ty Simpson, sign Aaron Rodgers, you have now Ty Simpson sitting behind Aaron. Like that's a great spot for the Steelers. Fortunately, for some of these other teams, the Jets aren't sitting at like they don't have this. They obviously have the 2nd pick, but they're not sitting at like the 9th pick or the 10th pick or the 8th pick, where like getting Ty Simpson at like 8 or something would have pretty huge consequences for the Chiefs, the Rams, because again like everything kind of starts to get pushed back kind of just like a Jeremiyah. I think Jeremiyah Love is the other pretty big domino where it's like if the Titans get Jeremiyah Love like that kind, if they don't, well then it's just like every team that follows, it could be the Commanders, it could be the Giants, and just like then everything kind of starts to change and get pushed away. So people have talked to me about like, oh do you want to talk more about the mock draft? I'm just like, to me I think it's just so hard. It's just so hard. There's so many options and all it does is take one team to slightly deviate of what you expect and everything of it's why it broke Mel Kiper's brain with Shader Sanders. It was just like Noth. ING makes sense now, and now everything is kind of off center, and it was just like, well yeah, and then you have the Giants trading back and you're like, oh see they're going to get, and then they get Jackson Dart, and then you're just like, wait a second, what is even happening? And it just everything just goes off, so becomes hard. But the more I look at this, the more opportunities that I see for things to get a little weird, and I like that. I like the action in the draft like that. I like the unknown. I like the movement. So that's where my mind is going right now. It's like, where's the most possible movement in either direction? And yeah, you're kind of just you're betting on teams right now. And there's only so many teams right now that you could say should or would be aggressive to go out and get a Ty Simpson. And that makes it even harder to predict if you knew other teams were going to be, because then it would be easier to kind of do the math and try to figure out, okay, well, they're going to try that. The fact that you're kind of like, especially because we know plenty of teams are more than willing to be patient for the next draft. It's like, so I don't know. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Will Ty Simpson be drafted in the first round? Will team have to be aggressive to go out and get him? Will there be some action? Will someone be trying to get after that 15th pick? Can the Jets be really strategic, not draft him in that 16th pick, but still get him? Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much.